So code number one is belonging. And anytime you see it surface in yourself, and it can surface in many different ways. If you see yourself thinking, oh man, they're not going to accept this part of me, let me hide this, you're in survival coding, right? The survival coding in you has been activated so that you can stay safe. But the truth is, the first one is belonging. This is a big one. And as I go through them, if something comes up in you and you want to ask, is this a code also? Drop it in the chat. So they will make you feel afraid that you will not belong anymore. And there's a natural desire to belong, to be accepted. So let me just hang the hat there. There is a natural desire to be accepted, but that's not where it ends. There's a natural desire to be accepted for who you are. It's a natural desire to be accepted for the completeness, the wholeness of you. And let me not stop there. The wholeness of you is expansive. You, when you are in core self, you are continually expansive. We want to be accepted, embraced, loved, understood, made space for in the entirety of who we are. It comes from our past. It comes from culture. It comes from lineage. It comes from times past where our people, especially if you're an underestimated, underrepresented, and mistreated community, it comes from a time where our people, where we were in survival mode and we were like, there's safety in numbers. So at all costs, we just got to stay with the herd. It doesn't matter how they're treating you. It doesn't matter how they value you. It doesn't matter how they see you. You need to survive. If you're outside of the herd, you will be killed. You will be dead. And this is survival mode thinking. But we are not in survival mode thinking anymore. You now have autonomy. You now have spiritual authority. You now are coming into your next level of your God energy. And so we get to let go. We get to clear that survival coding, that at all costs, let me be somewhere so that I can belong. No, let me create the belonging that is in alignment with who I really am, because I am deserving and because I am worthy and because I am elevating from survival to thriving mode. Because I am elevating from survival to abundance mode. So code number one is belonging. And anytime you see it surface in yourself, and it can surface in many different ways. If you see yourself thinking, oh man, they're not going to accept this part of me, let me hide this, you're in survival coding, right? The survival coding in you has been activated so that you can stay safe. But the truth is, it isn't really safe anymore, is it? Because now it's damaging your emotional health, your spiritual health, your mental health, which if those things are being damaged, your physical health is going to take a hit also. Facts. Let's talk about the second one, which is value. So in times past, particularly if you're a woman, you carry feminine energy, a dominance of feminine energy, because everybody carries feminine energy, but you carry a dominance of feminine energy, then you are carrying an energy of times past where you were considered the property, right? You were sold, you were bought, you were rented, you were exchanged, the same as property and cattle. And this is across many cultures. Name a continent, we can probably find this coding on it, right? So now think about that. If that survival coding is lodged in you energetically, in your lineage, in your genealogy, then think about how you might relate to the frequency of money, to the frequency of wealth, to the frequency of owning when you were the one who was owned. Can you feel that? How you might relate to owning property if in your lineage you were the one who was owned? And as being owned, you were mistreated, you were not trusted, you were considered less than human. So energetically, you might have some subconscious blocks towards value, being valued, trusting how worthy you are, how valuable your information is, how valuable your spirit is, how valuable you just being you is without the doing. Hold on, let me say that. How valuable you are just being you without the doing. This is such a big one. Being valuable without the doing. The resistance to this is survival coding. Why? Because you were only valued lineage, culture, genealogically wise. You were only valued if you were doing, if you were pulling the weight, if you were doing enough work, if you were making enough outcome in the day, whether you were farming or you were grazing or you were whatever it was that you were made to do. That is where your value lied. And for a lot of women and those carrying that major dominant feminine energy, that also had to do with giving birth. And I know I'm touching a chord. So if you would like to come and sit with that for a while, let me know. But this is survival coding. The shame around the shame, guilt, not enoughness, imposterism. This comes from survival coding of value. You are only valuable if you do enough to allow for survival. Cooking enough, pulling enough food in, those kinds of things. And that is what gave you your price when you were sold or exchanged. So no wonder you are thinking you're trying to clear things because you are thinking it's that person or it's me, there's something wrong with me, or that I'm thinking this way, or I can't stop. No. It's survival coding. Declare, decree, and say, I am no longer in survival mode. I am in expansion mode. I am in abundance mode. I'm in elevation mode. I am no longer in survival mode. And so I clear the survival coding. And anytime you feel less than, anytime you feel not enough, anytime you feel like, am I an imposter? It's survival coding. Because your value was linked to survival. Okay, so number 1 was belonging. Number 2 was value. Number 3. And I'm trusting and knowing that something really beautiful and powerful has shifted for you and in you today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for elevating. Thank you for saying yes to yourself and your spiritual expansion and your growth and your healing and your clearing for not only your lineage and your heritage, for those to come as well in many ways. That being said, I'm sending you so much love and power always.